Hello everybody, welcome to Gnomessingaround. I'm Dale, and today we're going to be talking about washes. I'm going to explain to you what washes are, I'm going to show you how washes work, I'm going to teach you how to make washes, and then I'm going to give you some recipes so that you can get started right away. Washes are a cheap way to add detail and to blend all of your layers together. You can add and subtract saturation, which is basically just making it lighter or darker. I'm going to talk about them from a terrain perspective. However, you can also use washes on miniature painting to both add detail, add depth, blend all of your layers together, and make your miniature look pretty cool. But today, we're going to be talking about terrain. Washes are just a paint or a pigment thinned down by a medium. Now in our case today, we're just going to be using water. You may have heard some things, washes versus glazes, and mostly that would be something that you would deal with in miniature painting. Today, we're not going to be dealing with anything like that, but I do want to go over it. So a glaze is meant to be mixed with, so paint or a pigment mixed with a medium so that it stays on top of a miniature where you put it, okay? So glazes add your colors, add your paints right to the top, super thin layers, glazing. Washes, on the other hand, run into all the crevices. They seep into all of the cracks, all of the recesses. They get in there and make those darker. So yes, technically your washes for things like miniatures are going to make them darker, but I have another use for washes, and I'm going to show you that here right now. So here we have a rock formation made out of bark. Kind of hard to see with the black spray primer. I'm going to be using this for Fallout Wasteland Warfare once it actually looks like rock. This is my stone wash, which I will give you the recipe for. Shaka, shaka, shaka. And then all you do is take a brush. You want a bigger brush for terrain washing. This one is not huge just because I want a little bit more control. So this is so easy, I can't make it any easier. Got a lot of wash on the brush. Go to town. With this sort of wash, you want it just about everywhere. You don't really specifically place washes unless you're dealing with multiple pieces in a small area. So this is just going to get a full coat. We have applied wash to everything very heavily, and it has made everything quite wet. Even though I used hot glue to affix the bark down, I'm still going to give it quite a minute to dry, I think, and then you can see exactly what the saturation's like once all the water evaporates out. Here's a pro tip. If you're going to make and use your own washes, don't store them in hermetically sealed containers. I don't know why it's called hermetically, doesn't really matter. Use screw tops. Here's the reason why. When you shake these, and as you use them, you get little bits of wash into the seal. Right? Little bits. And as that dries, it keeps the seal from sealing. So use screw tops. Because as you shake this the next time, if you're a little too vigorous, it'll just start spilling out everywhere. So that's pro tip number one. Pro tip number two, if you want to look dirty without being dirty, shake a hermetically sealed container. While my rocks are drying, I want to talk to you about my Patreon. I maintain tons of free content as well as way more exclusive content than is probably legally allowed. Check it out. QR code. Here is our rock formation, now dry from the stone wash. It looks really good. I'm going to take an extra step. I'm going to dry brush this off camera because this is not a dry brushing video. This is a wash video. So I'm going to go prep this for the next wash layer. It's been exactly 2 minutes since the last shot because this is also very easy. All I did is I took some folk art sunflower and a really cheap makeup brush, and I added highlights At some point I'll do a rock video, go over all of that. We're on to the next wash. I'm not going to shake this because I already did. A little bit smaller, fluffier brush. And again, we're just going to apply this all over. So with our dark wash applied, also a bronzing wash, aging wash, whatever you want to call it, I'll have a recipe for this one so that you can make your own stone formations out of bark really fast. We made everything super wet again, so it's going to have to dry. Here's a pro tip numero tres. When you're using washes, especially on miniature terrain, you want to make sure that everything underneath is super dry. If you're using things like I do, which is less expensive craft paints, because I try to keep this hobby cheaper for everybody, you want to make sure that they're super dry underneath, because if not, all the wash is going to do is blend everything. You're not going to have the detail, you're not going to have like this dry brushing stuff. Like if your dry brush is even a little wet, it's just going to blend in with the dark wash and the wash underneath and all the way down to the center of the earth if you let it. Water's weird that way. As our example today, I'm going to be mixing up some stone wash for you. So A, you'll have the recipe, and B, you'll have the know-how. Dollar store container, silicone, easy to clean. Paint we're using, medium gray, and a blue. With the benefit of experience, I'm going to put the water in the container first because I don't want the paint to stick to the silicone, making it harder to clean. All of my recipes are in 10-part recipes. Half of it's going to be paint, half of it's going to be water. This one is 4 parts gray to 1 part blue. There's roughly proportions. Top on, shaka, shaka, shaka. Looking pretty good. And at this time, I'm going to add 1 solitary drop of soap and dribble some everywhere else. The soap is what keeps the water tension from holding onto the paint, and so the soap is what helps it run. We have a beautiful addition to our stone wash. So that's my video on washes. I really hope that it's helped you, especially if you're a beginner, because this hobby, if you start looking at retail products, can get quite expensive, and there are way cheaper ways to do it. I'm happy to bring them to you. Thank you so much for watching. If you've been around YouTube, or if you haven't been around YouTube, do all the YouTube things. Like, share, subscribe, do it all. Why not? I'll appreciate it. You'll like the stuff that comes out. Might be a little gritty, but it's fun. For the next 20 to 30 seconds or so, I'm going to share with you a few of the recipes that I use weekly in order to make things look better. I'll have little descriptions so that you know exactly what they're for. I'm going to leave out the stonewash one because, well, we just did it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, happy gnoming!